My name is Sameya, born and raised in Portland, Oregon. My family is from Oromia, which is in Ethiopia. I'm a part of a refugee family. My parents don't speak any English. I have 11 siblings. I have 2 brothers who are in the Marines. There was 2 and they passed away, but I still count them. I'm like the middle child, usually the quiet one who does what she's told. But then once I got to high school, college age, I started to voice my opinions and start to say how I felt. If you ask them, they will tell you that I'm the crazy, loud sister. But to me, I think of myself as this sweet, calm, collected one, you know? My dad was a professor of sorts. He was giving people a voice, an education. He's very political by nature, and so I feel like government, they just didn't want him there. He'd be the type of person to create an uprising. I know my dad. He's gonna create a riot, I know for sure, I know.
How about you, is that what you want?
I'm definitely like him. Even though my people, the Oromo people, are the largest group of people in Ethiopia, there's a small portion who's running the entire thing. Even to this day, my people, they are hunted down in the streets, in their colleges, thrown off buildings, they're massacred in large numbers. And you never hear about these things in the news, you know? When he tells a story every time, it's almost as if he's transported back. It's a very touchy subject, so we don't talk about it that much. He had to leave his wife, and at the time he had 2 children. He's been through many wars. He's traveled through Somalia, Kenya, and then he finally made it here. I was born in America a year after my mom came. And like when I hear those stories where he's struggling, not eating, doesn't have a home, he's working really, really hard for his education, and I'm sitting here in an apartment, a full ride scholarship, all his struggles and all his heartache were all worth it. And I don't want to let him down. With refugee families, there's this big stigma that you don't want to let your parents down. He always says, we're in America for me and my siblings to have a good life. They miss back home. But if he goes back, his parents, like my mom's parents, have passed away, aunts and uncles have passed away. The community is not the same.
What was it like in your home when you told your imam father that you were going to go to a Christian school?
You know, a lot of people think that it was my choice coming here, but it was actually his choice. I had all these schools lined up with all my scholarships and everything, so I'm sitting here comparing and contrasting. He sat down with me. Mind you, he's never seen the American education system at all. He was like, Warner Pacific seems like a good fit for you. I said, what? I was nervous, but then I was like, it's Portland, like how bad can it get, you know? I feel like the part that sold him the most was that it was a Christian school because the dorms were separated boys and girls.
Right.
He was like, oh, they completely align with my values. Like, boys and girls, they need to stay away from each other. Just focus on your education. You don't need no boy trouble, you know? Yeah. He hears stories about, like, University of Oregon, PSU, the parties, and things like that. And he thinks that just because it's a Christian school, that none of that is going on. But it's going on everywhere, you know? I was expecting it to be completely strict. But when I came here, it was so relaxing. People were so happy, really willing to accommodate to your needs.
Did you have white friends growing up?
It was hard for me to make white friends. First grade, the teacher, she was like, Kevin, you're gonna be Sameya's friend. But we were never friends, you know? It felt like he was babysitting me. Because so many people were white, I was significant. I might have not been cool enough or worn like the best clothes. My parents, I think that they made it a little bit worse. Because after 9/11 happened, they told me, don't make any friends. Because they thought that everybody was dangerous. High school, I went to Jefferson, so then it was majority African Americans. When I went to college, I would say is when I started making like real white friends. And I was ignorant, closing myself off from all of that, you know? It's really not that different from making friends with anybody else. You have to just get over all the stereotypes.
So what was a stereotype of a white person you grew up with or that you have found not to be true? And what have you found to be true? Come on.
Dish the dirt. Okay. My mom would always tell me, don't make friends with white students. They'll smile in your face, but then when they turn around, a lot of things that they're saying weren't real. And I have experienced that in like petty children things. Oh, my mom was right. Like, my mom was so right, you know? I knew that there were different types, personalities, attitudes, things like that. But I've always thought that white people were kind of similar. And then coming here, I'm realizing like, yo, like, you're all not the same. And it's like the stigma that everybody else has about me, I'm having on them. People are like, oh, all Muslims are the same. It's pretty ironic, actually.
Yeah.
We're all putting like labels on different peoples and we're all doing it to each other. It's a safety mechanism, but then it's like, if we don't explore and understand each other, how are we ever gonna know what is real and what is not? Like, we have to shake things up. We have to reach across, even though it's exhausting, even though it might take a lot of time, we have to find common ground. At Warner, they have pushed me and pushed me out of my box. They've pushed me to go meet and talk to new people almost every day. I'm actually really happy that I'm sticking it out because I've learned so much. I feel like that I would not have learned at any other school. Even though I completely hated myself for like a good semester for being here. I was like, I'm leaving, I'm never coming back. I don't know if there were any other Muslim men or any other Muslim people, but the only like forward, wearing a hijab, I was the only Muslim girl on campus from what I could see. Every school I've been to, my sister has been there. And so like being here by myself is like, yo, this time I'm really by myself. I'm not the only person who's of a different faith. My friend who is Jewish lives right across. It's harder to spot. The students will come up to me and ask me questions all the time. Do you wear that in the shower? Do you wash it? Those questions, they don't feel good to answer. Okay, you're trying to get to know me, you're trying to find understanding, but it feels like you're mocking me, you know? Okay, we're gonna get real. We're gonna get real. When they say, oh, you can't do this because your dad said so? Islam is very oppressive. And I'm sitting here like, yo, you don't understand, like, Islam is actually not oppressive at all towards women. And it's like, if you did your research and if you actually sat down with me and talked with me, I will explain it to you, not just in passing in the cafeteria, not just like short moments in the classroom when we have these discussions. When we talk about situations like terrorist attacks or 9/11, people look at me like I have all the answers. Growing up, I took 100% blame for 9/11. I'm trying to understand everybody else in America as to why they're scared of me and trying to make them feel comfortable, you know? I want to cry.
How could you blame yourself for 9/11?
I need a moment. Growing up in America is really, really hard being a Muslim woman because it's like that's what they see when they first see you is the hijab, and they first they associate your religion with this big terrible thing that's going on in the world, you know? When they talked about 9/11, I instantly felt guilty. I felt so guilty and I felt so bad for all the people. I felt so bad because it's like all these people lost their lives. And it's just a couple of irresponsible, ignorant people who decided to like kill thousands of people, and then you turn around and blame a whole religion. 9/11 happened when I was in kindergarten. The teacher disappears out of the classroom. And then she's like, all your parents are coming to pick you guys up. Everybody pack your stuff and get ready to go. Mind you, my mom does not speak English. So when they say, come pick your kid from school, like, she doesn't know what's going on, you know? As we're walking home, everybody on both sides of the streets, their doors are open. Everybody has a TV, the radio playing. Everybody's sitting around, like, paying attention to the news of what's going on, you know? It was so quiet. And then my dad calls us. And I can hear panic in his voice. And he's literally saying, like, everybody close the doors. We sat in darkness in our living room for a good couple of hours. And then ever since then, every time I hear about it, I like shy back. But now I know it's not my fault. I know it had nothing to do with me. I know that now when I think about terrorism, I don't think about Islam. I think about like different government entities taking over like innocent people. I think about ways that like the United States is terrorizing other countries. Like you're bombing innocent women and children. These people are losing their lives. They don't have a home. They're losing everything and nobody's talking about it. And it's like, oh, we're trying to find that one bad guy. But you're killing hundreds of innocent people who will never be able to live their life normally, who will never be able to go home. And it's so hard to see because like I'm living in this country where like my parents are so happy to be here and they're so grateful. And I'm grateful of this country, but I'm also questioning everything that's going on. There's so much wrong in this country and in this world just being ignored. I feel like that's why I went into political science, to change policies and like travel the world and help people, you know? But I want to start with Portland first. There's this African saying that, how could you go outside when the inside of your home is not clean, you know?
Do you want to get some tissue?
Yeah.
Like some.
Okay. A lot of people, when they see me, they think I don't speak English. They think I don't know like what's going on. So they want to talk to me really, really slow. And then I'm really tempted to talk back to them in my language just to like mess with them. I get tired of explaining myself. It's almost as if I have to define who I am within like the 15 seconds we're talking, you know? A lot of these people, they don't know anything about Islam. When I tell them I'm Ethiopian, they're like, but aren't you Muslim? People will be like, I thought that Islam was like a country. So earlier in the cafeteria, some of my friends came up. Like they show love like by, I don't want to say by being loud, but by being present. It like reminds me of like back home, you know, like if my cousin showed up, you're gonna hear a lot of screaming, shouting, you know? It reminds me, it's like, oh yeah, like that's love. I feel like this responsibility towards my family and towards my friends. If my sister needs help with her children, I have to be like ready to go. Like my mom, she doesn't speak any English. And so like I have to be ready to go for her, like be able to drop everything. A lot of the times, like I'm in my community, at the mosque, with my dad, working, like getting to know people. If I'm not doing homework, I'm in the community somehow, some way. Everything's easygoing, there's no stress, like everybody's laughing, eating, having a great time, you know? If I see a kid and I don't know who their mom is, I have the right to scold them, take them to timeout wherever they need. I can speak however I need to these kids because like I'm also raising them, you know, like we're in this together. I go into this community, it's like I see all these aunts and uncles that have raised me as well. And even my cousins and my like older sister, these people are very influential into my life. Like we all kind of raise each other. And so when I come here, it's like every man for themselves, you know? It's very hard to like bring these two worlds together because I can't go around and telling people, yo, don't do this, because I'm like, I'm grown, like I'm in college now, I can do whatever I want to. But if I see my cousin who's 27 years old, I can tell her like, yo, you can't do this, like this is not okay. And she'll respect that and listen to me, you know? There's not that level of understanding here.
The idea of having like 100 people who can tell me what to do sounds like a nightmare.
It is. I have gained so much freedom here. Because when I'm here, I'm like, you know what, I can schedule anything anytime I want to, you know? And then I start to become lazy and I start to feel like, oh, it's okay, I can handle it on my own. And this whole sense of like, I'm doing everything on my own becomes completely poisonous. Like this freedom of like, I don't need anybody, freedom from responsibility. But if I'm back home in my community, I will have certain freedoms, but there's this community aspect where it's like, it's not just me. My actions affect everybody else.
So which feels better?
Wow, that's a hard question. Because I love my community and I love the feel of being with them. But then I have fallen in love with this freedom as well, you know? I feel like if I had to choose, I'd choose being back home. Because I feel like us humans were not meant to just be on our own. Our school here has lots of events. And so when brand new people come and they see me walking across campus, they do like triple, double takes, grab their stuff, hold on to their kids, you know? Sometimes I just ignore them and walk away. Or sometimes I wave and then they completely ignore me, but it's okay because I've made my effort to give out olive branch. I don't have to, but I make the choice to try and make people comfortable that are around me. If I'm sitting on the bus, I will make myself as small as possible. I would wave and smile at people, even though I'm introverted, which I'm starting to not do lately. I'm not here on this earth to make you comfortable. I usually do go up to the people that people are scared of. Like the big motorcyclists with the beards and tattoos. Like if I see them in a restaurant and we're all waiting for a to-go order, I'm gonna start talking to them. And usually they're taken aback and they're just like, whoa, why is she talking to me? But then I'm like, I understand where you're coming from because people are scared of you too, so I'm gonna make you a friend, you know? A lot of times when it's me and my sister or like a group of Muslim girls, we'll dress up, go to Olive Garden. Usually I'm the first person there. So there'll be this big table and just me. People will be checking over their shoulders, whispering, constantly looking at me. We'll be walking to our cars after we're done eating. We'll see people that we've seen earlier just sitting around, like waiting, as if like they're gonna save their restaurant, like if we're gonna do something. Sometimes they'll follow us to our cars. At that point, we're scared because we're just a group of girls. I also have a brother who is 6 foot, almost 3. I'm scared for him because of the people that are scared of him as well. My greatest fear is whatever agenda Donald Trump and his administration is gonna put out to the world is gonna grow bigger. Like it's gonna become this bigger monster, you know? Hate is another thing that's poison. Because like once you have it inside your body, inside your heart, like it kind of sticks there, you know, and it's easier to hate another thing and it's easier to add on and it just gets bigger and it festers. You got to get to know who the person is first before you start to categorize them into like, oh, she's just a Muslim girl. She's gonna be completely modest. She's not gonna talk to you. She's gonna like be quiet. Me, I'm always down to talk about social justice. I'm always down to talk about religion, race, faith, philosophy, anything controversial, I'm down. Come up to me with respect, with humility, you know, like not, oh, it's just, you know, it's just another Muslim girl, or, oh, it's a Muslim girl, we gotta like tiptoe, like, I'm still human.
So it sounds like with you, the direct approach is actually a good one. Do you think
yeah,
that's common?
Very direct.
Do you think it's common within your community to want people to be direct with you?
For sure. Mean everything you say, so I'm not second guessing, like questioning, did this what they meant or is this what they meant?
So what else feels like love cross-culturally?
Food. Food is number one. You know how people are always like, oh, welcome neighbor, like I have a pie? It's not like that. It's welcome neighbor, you're coming over to my house for dinner, you know? My biggest hope, I would like to like raise my children or see my niece and nephew grow up in a world that is not gonna hate on them and is not gonna already have such deep prejudice and fear for them and of them, you know what I mean? I have so much hope for this generation, I really do. I feel like millennials, we are really gonna change the world. When I walk across campus and I talk to the students here and I ask them like, what are you gonna do when you leave here? Some of them are like, oh, I'm gonna be a social worker. Oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be a pastor. And it's like, your job that you're gonna take on after this is gonna be better because of the experiences you're having now. And by the stories that you're hearing from other people, you're gonna be like, oh, I understand. I feel like I'm gonna leave here with a large network. And like when I wanna go work in policy work with either health, education, whatever it might be, I'm gonna have all these people that I went to school with who are already in that field that I can talk to and be like, what do you think is the best thing we can do now? Like we can work together to like make things better, you know?